In New Orleans, the Mississippi has been unusually high for over half a year now.
Tonight, John Snell examines man's effort to tame the river and whether we can do anything about a mightier Mississippi.
The steam-powered Calliope signals another cruise of the steamboat Natchez. For a couple hours anyway, a boatload of tourists escape to a different place and time. But this is not Mark Twain's river. Today's Mississippi runs mightier than ever.
I've never seen it this high, this long, like a foot from flood stage.
Captain Don Houghton brings 36 years experience to the job, navigating one of the most treacherous turns on the entire at Algiers Point.
And it makes a hard turn right here, and all that water can't get around that turn, so it backs up and runs upstream at our dock.
Houghton says the Natchez handles the turn well, but vessels of every size can have a difficult time navigating that bend as the current catches them. Right now, the Mississippi flow would fill the Superdome in just about a minute and a half, thanks to record-setting rainfall upriver.
We're seeing rainfall amounts that have exceeded, over 100 years in the Mississippi Valley.
Of all the world's rivers, only the Nile and the Amazon drain more water than the Mississippi. But that's only part of the story. Taken together, the entire basin amounts to the most elaborate drainage system on the planet. The river drains roughly 41% of America. To protect New Orleans from flooding, Congress authorized the Bonnie Carey Spillway, a giant relief valve that pushes water into Lake Pontchartrain. And north of Baton Rouge, another dam, the Morganza Spillway. The Mississippi, as it has through the centuries, wants to shift course and dart down the Atchafalaya River. The old river control structure, really a series of structures, prevents that by sending just enough water down the Atchafalaya to placate the river's urges.
Every year we should expect the potential of more and more water as our climate changes and as the landscape changes.
Civil engineer H.J. Bosworth points out man has altered more than just the riverbanks. Every new big box store, every new subdivision changes how rainwater behaves. Water once absorbed into the ground now runs off directly into rivers and streams.
If somebody in the Dakotas or somebody in Iowa or somebody in Minnesota or where wants to build a subdivision, the municipal authorities there think, great, go ahead and do it.
Despite frequent calls to run the spillways more often, the Corps couldn't do that if it wanted to. Federal laws govern when the spillways operate based on how much water the river carries.
Are you satisfied that the government is operating these structures properly?
Operating structures properly, yes. Are there systemic problems? Yes.
Congressman Garrett Graves points out portions of the river are silting in. For example, scientists have identified a large slug of sand and mud from Vicksburg to Baton Rouge, lifting the river bottom.
That is a dangerous situation because it is decreasing the capacity of the Mississippi River system.
Graves, a frequent Corps critic, authored language calling on the Corps to evaluate what's happening in the river. That could mean unleashing the spillways more often.
We're looking to see what can we do in the future that might be better than what we're doing right now.
The Corps says the study will take 3 years. Graves says not good enough.
We don't have 3 years. The urgency is greater than that.
Well, every time you open, the levees, for any reason at all, you change the river.
Water policy experts caution running the spillways a faucet. The Bonnie Carey could bring more harm to Lake and potentially violate other federal laws to protect, for example, marine life. The Morganza muddles the water even more.
If you start putting more water down Morganza, and there are certain reasons that you might want to, there are certain reasons I might want to, but that will also have effects on, the people who live and work in the spillway, the people who own property there.
Changing how the Mississippi flows could build up sediment in other spots along the river bottom.
And it doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you have to think it through first.
H.J. Bosworth sees a need for some kind of national water policy or database to understand how water moves throughout the system.
The development hasn't stopped, and the river flow will continue to increase.
I'm not seeing an appetite in Washington right now for, thinking, big or on a national scale about water management, water policy.
In the meantime, it seems a mightier Mississippi will keep running higher and faster.
Oh yeah, we'll go downriver probably about 12, 13 miles an hour and come back about 5 miles per hour.
John Snell, Fox 8, local first.
The Corps says the latest forecast indicates a reopening of the Bonnie Carey Spillway is now less likely, but that could change if more rain falls upriver.